Hi everyone, and welcome back to the series where I take a card from the Granny Square Stitches card deck and make it up for you. One card a week, all year long. We're kind of playing catch up because I had a little bit of a voice issue last week. So this is card number 2 for this week, and we are looking at Mermaid. This is just a really pretty stitch. I'm excited to try this one. Alrighty. Reading all the words. To make the square shown on the card, make 14 chain and follow chart, working in 1 row stripes of yarns A through C, working until square, ending with a row 3. Alrighty, and then your stitch repeat. So your starting chain needs to be a multiple of 6, and then you add 2 for like the turning chain. Alrighty, so they're showing this in a really pretty color palette. So I have gone with 3 colors of the Anthem yarn that I'm using. This is from Cascade Yarns, 100% acrylic yarn. This is the workhorse yarn that we use in a lot of our beginner classes. And I have got agate green, coral, and pink pearl. And I think that's a really beautiful color combination. I love color. Alrighty, let's get started. So this one, we're starting with our green color. I can't remember when the last time was I mentioned, but I use a 5mm hook. I have been using a 5mm hook for all of these swatches, and it's, for me, for my tension, it's a really good hook size for this yarn. I tend to crochet on the tight side, so you know you're gonna have to play with your own hook size when dealing with this yarn, but for me a 5mm works really well. All right, so 14 chains and 14. Last week's square, which I did yesterday, is this one, and it's a bit on the small side compared with my other squares. So I am going to work up the first couple of rows in this, and then we'll take a look and see if I actually need to add a whole stitch repeat or not. 14 chains doesn't seem like a lot, so I'm a little skeptical, but let's give it a try. So looking at our chart, I've just made my 14 chains, and now it looks like I need to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then I'm going to skip 1, 2 chains, and in the next chain I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets all into that chain, and then we skip 2 chains and we single crochet, and that is our repeat pattern. We skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet. So I'm going to be single crocheting in the last stitch and changing color to the light pink. So I like to turn my chains over and work into my back bumps. So there's my first little back bump. That's my first chain. I'm going to skip that one. Into the second one, I'm going to put a single crochet. And I'm going to skip 2 chains, and in this next chain we're going to put 5 double crochets. It's 1, 2. So they're all going into the same chain, which will stretch it out quite a bit. And there is number 5. Now before I go any further, I'm going to put a stitch marker into my very first stitch, which was my single crochet, because I will need to work into that coming back down the row, no doubt. So this is my very first single crochet right there, my very first stitch. So I'm going to put a stitch marker in there. So I've got a single crochet and I've got 5 double crochets all in that same stitch, and you'll see how it really pulls that chain. So now when we need to skip 2 chains, you need to make sure that you're not missing a chain, because this one gets so distorted. It's easy to sort of miss that chain. You see how it's kind of hidden by this distorted chain here. So I'm just going to sort of tug everything to really dig out and find all the chains. So I need to skip 2 chains, and then I'm going to single crochet in this one. So skipping 2, I'm going to find this one, we're going to single crochet. And now we're going to skip 2 chains again and repeat that. 5 double crochets all in this one chain. And now I should have 3 chains left. And I do, but remember, this one is next to the chain where we added all the 5 double crochets, so it's a little distorted. So it's easy to miss. So that's 1, 2, and then into my very last chain, I'm going to do a single crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook and draw up a loop. And then I need to get my pink here. Lay my pink over the hook. Oh, hang on. I find that taking the tail of the color that I am dropping and sort of laying it over my hook, and then laying my new color over my hook and drawing it through just kind of helps tidy everything up. It sort of catches the tail of the first color in with your turning chain, and it just kind of helps keep everything neat and tidy, especially when we're doing lots of color changes. Okay, I did look ahead and I saw that I needed to chain 3, so that's what I did. But let's take a look now at the next row. So I'm here, I've already done my chain of 3, and I put a stitch marker in the top of that because I was pretty confident that I needed to stitch into it. And sure enough, I can see that I need to put a single crochet into that. Back into that same stitch, that single crochet, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to skip these 2 double crochets, and I'm going to put a single crochet into the middle double crochet of my little fan. So I'll skip the 2 single crochet into the 3rd, skip another 2, and then find that single crochet in between my 2 fans and make another fan. 5 double crochets all into that single crochet. Again, I'm skipping these 2 double crochets, I'm finding the middle one and putting a single crochet. And then we have 1 single crochet at the end. We're going to put 3 double crochets in there and change color. All right. So I have chain 3, I've got my stitch marker in the top of that chain 3. I'm going to turn my work, and I need to put 2 double crochets back into this stitch here. So I'm going to yarn over, insert into that stitch, and complete 2 double crochets. So you're kind of making like a half fan on each side here. So now I'm going to skip 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, find that 3rd one. I'm going to single crochet there. Skip the next 2 double crochets, find my single crochet, and we're going to put our little fan in here. So 5 double crochets. And this is number 5. Oopsies. And then we'll skip 2 double crochets, single crochet into that 3rd. So that's the middle of that shell. Skip those 2, and we need to put 3 double crochets into this single crochet stitch. And in the 3rd double crochet, we're going to switch color. So that's 1 double crochet, 2. Now I'm going to start this double crochet. So I've yarned over, I've pulled up a loop, I've got 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, I'm going to pull through those first 2. I'm going to do my little lay my yarn on top of my hook trick, and then I'm going to grab my dark pink, lay it on my hook, and pull it through. And then I can chain 1 with my new color. Turn my work, and I did peek ahead, so I need to put a single crochet in there. So I'm just going to take a moment and sort of tighten those ends. Put a single crochet in there, and then I'm going to replace my stitch marker. I have been using stitch markers when I make these squares for you guys, partly because it keeps me on track, but partly because I want you to see that it's really easy to do. It's a good habit to get into, and it just really helps you identify the first and last stitch of each row. And that will help you, especially if you're a beginner, keep your stitch count consistent. So that is my top tip for today. Okay, let's look at this next row. This is basically a repeat of row 1. So I've put that first single crochet in that the last double crochet that we made. Now I'm going to skip over to where my single crochet is from the row below. So I'm skipping these 2 double crochets, I'm finding my single crochet, and I'm making my fan in that single crochet. I'm going to skip the next 2 double crochets and single crochet into the middle stitch of the fan below, skip the last 2 stitches, and make a fan in the single crochet. Skip these 2 double crochets, find my chain 3. So that's where I put my stitch marker. Another reason I like to use stitch markers, especially with chains, because it's just tricky sometimes. They get stretched. It's hard to figure out exactly where you're supposed to stitch. So when you have a stitch marker in there, guesswork is taken out of it. And so I need to put a single crochet in there and change color back to my blue. My blue is going to be waiting for me. That is the beauty of a 3-color transition. Your next color is always waiting for you. And that's kind of the repeat pattern. So we've got our single crochet. I'm going to skip these 2 double crochets and find my single of the row below, and then I can make a fan. So my fan is 5 double crochets. And now I need to single crochet in the middle of this fan. So I'm skipping these 2 stitches, finding that 3rd one, single crocheting. Skip these 2 stitches, find my single crochet, and create my fan. I think I have grabbed the wrong end of my yarn here. Something. I prefer an inside pull to an outside pull, and I actually accidentally grabbed my outside pull. Okay, now I can skip these 2 double crochets, and we're going to come over to this chain 3. I removed my stitch marker, but I kind of kept my fingers on where it was so that I can easily identify which chain I need to stitch into. So I can insert, draw up a loop. I'm going to do my little trick where I lay this over top, grab my blue, and pull it through. And then we can chain 3 with our blue and replace our stitch marker. So that's what we have going on so far. It is looking a little small. Let's compare it with this one here. I'm just going to pull up a big loop. It's looking a little small, but once I add the border, it'll be fine. So I didn't need to add another repeat. That is good. Okay, but that is the repeat pattern. So I'm going to continue doing that. We're just changing color with every row, but we are just repeating row 1 and 2 over and over again. Well, okay, so according to the pattern, we're repeating row 2 and 3. And it does recommend that we end with a row 3. And okay, so I'm going to continue doing that until my design is square. We'll see if I have the same number of repeats as these guys do. And then we'll come back and we'll work on the border. So I kind of broke the rules a little bit. The instructions say to end with a row 3, which would be this row here. But when I did that, it wasn't quite square according to my measurements. So I added another row. It's my square. I get to do what I want, right? I've woven in all my ends, so it's time to start the border. I've already put in my first single crochet. Now, because we are working with just basic stitches and no like chain spaces or anything like that across, it should be fairly simple. I should just be able to single crochet across and it'll be fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That should be good. So I'm just going to single crochet all the way across. Now in these chain ones, if you wanted, like I'll single crochet across and we'll take a look at what it looks like. But if you wanted to sort of start evening things out a little bit, you could add in like a half double crochet in there, something with just a little bit of extra height. But let's just see what it looks like with a row of single crochet. So last one goes into my turning chain. There's a little bit of a dip, but I think it's going to be fine. Once I get the second round done, it'll all be good. Okay, that's my corner. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my square and crochet back into that same space to start coming down the side. Now we've basically got a double crochet there, a single there, double there. So the convention is when you're doing a border, 2 single crochets per double crochet row, 1 single crochet per single crochet, that type of thing. So let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We could probably add a stitch to somewhere. Yeah, because we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 there. Yeah, I think if we add an extra stitch down at the corner, that'll take us to 13, and that will be make it nice and square. So obviously if your tension allowed you to stop at the row 3 that you were supposed to stop at, then, pardon my dog, then your stitch count down the side is going to be a little bit different than mine. So I'm just, for these rows that had the double crochets at the beginning and the end, I've got 2 single crochets, and then the rows that started and ended with a single crochet, I'm just putting in 1 single crochet, and I'm trying to catch these floats. I hope you notice that as I go along, just to help camouflage them into the border. Okay, so technically this is a single crochet row, but we are going to add an extra stitch in here. I'm just going to find the first chain of my starting chain and get my last stitch in there. So there we go. And now down the bottom, because we did skip some chains, we've got, technically we skipped 1 chain there, 2 there. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I think what I'll do is I'll add an extra stitch in the corner. That does help the corners. Oh, I already chained 1. Kind of, this is gonna sound weird, it helps the corners look more cornery. gives them a better, just a better look if you add a couple stitches in the corner. So where we skip chains, I am putting 2 single crochets around those chains. Whoops, that went into the wrong spot. Even though this has gotten really wide, it's still only 1 chain, so I'm just putting 1 single crochet in there. And then I'm going to put 2 in the end. And then we're just gonna repeat that up the side. Okay, and then I'll do 1 more round of single crochet, and I'll come back and show you the finished square. And there it is, all finished. I gotta admit, I love this one. I do love a good shell stitch pattern. And this one in particular, I think would make a stunning blanket, maybe with the chenille love that I used to make the other blanket. So stay tuned. I might have to come up with some sort of fun project with this stitch pattern. So that is card number 20, week number 20, 20-ish. Hopefully we will be back on track and I won't get sick anymore. And then next week we will tackle this one, which is called Cluster V Stitch. All right, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.